Welcome to Parents Make a Difference. I'm your host, Josie PV. Did you ever watch Americans Got Talent? Well, season 14, the winner was someone whose name was Cody Lee. He was a singer and a pianist. It was amazing. If you did not see it, I encourage you to watch it on YouTube. He actually is legally blind and has autism, and I was so impressed with his performance. It was mesmerizing. Music, music. Is music important in our lives, in the lives of our children? Well, today I'd like to welcome director and co-founder of Tisho's Music Academy in Bolton, Ontario. I'd like to welcome Mary Balinov. Did I say that right, Mary?
Yes.
Welcome to Parents Make a Difference.
Thank you, Josie. It's a pleasure. Nice to see you again.
You too, you too. What inspired you to start a music academy?
My husband, really, he is the one with all the music expertise. We met well over 35 years ago, I guess now, in Cyprus, which is my birthplace. I was actually living and working there for a while, and that's how we met. He was there on a work contract, performing with his band. And fast forward, we met, we decided to get married. I came back to Canada, sponsored him, brought him here from his native country of Bulgaria. And he started working, a few jobs here and there, Canadian Tire, minimal jobs. His passion, though, was music. The interesting thing, Josie, is when people would welcome Tisho and meet him for the first time, they would ask him, "What do you do for a living?" And he would say, "I'm a professional musician." And everyone's response was almost exactly the same as if it was rehearsed. The reply was, "Oh, that's wonderful. What else do you do?" And of course, his response was, "Well, there is something else. This is what I do." So that's the difference between the culture in some of those European countries compared to how we view music here. So after we had both our children, a few years later, we settled in Bolton and we decided to give it a try. We opened up our first academy studio in 1998, and that's how we started. It was in first we started in the basement of our home. We stayed there about a year, and the demand was so great we actually looked elsewhere and opened up in the courtyards. And we have been doing this for 26 years. So that's the start, and here we are today.
Wonderful. You're passing the baton to your kids. They
Yes, super proud and excited about that. Our children were, um, I guess Diana was an infant and Christian was a toddler when we moved to Bolton and started working in our basement. So they actually grew up in the academy. The thing is, Josie, when it came time for them to make their own adult life decisions, we gave them a choice, and yet they chose this. They decided to stay with this. They could have done anything else. Tisha and I were quite prepared to bring in another music school or sell it, and just move on and enjoy our retirement. But our kids by then were so involved in the academy and the work that we do that they decided to continue it. So my daughter has now taken over my duties as the administrator. The apple never falls far from the tree, as they say. So our son Christian is continuing in his father's footsteps and taking over all of the music lessons.
wonderful. How did music affect them? How did learning music? Because now your son Christian, I know he teaches drums because he teaches it to my son Christian.
Yes.
My son has such a passion for it, and it's changed. uh, him. Like piano doesn't do it for my son, but
Yeah.
drum lessons does. I don't have to even ask him to play or to practice. He goes into his
Yes.
zone and he really enjoys it. So we finally found something that he really enjoys. What about your Christian? How did music affect him, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, Tisho is he is a percussion specialist. That was his major. But when he was studying music education in at the university level, he could not, based on the system that they have back in his homeland, he could not advance onto that percussion level of his master's degree unless he studied piano. Piano is the foundation of music. That's where all the academics are. So he had no choice. He had to begin with the piano, which set the foundation for him. And once he mastered that, he was able to pursue percussion, drums, which is his major. Christian also pursued drums and percussion as his major, but he, like your son, he was not keen on the piano. So I felt he was much too young to make those decisions, actually, Josie. So Tisho and I were firm believers that we need to make the decisions for our children when they're not old enough to process things logically, and then at some point you start loosening the rope, I guess, a little bit by asking for their feedback and opinion, like by the time they're 10, 11, 12, so that they feel involved in making their decisions. But I felt we as parents, um, when we know that this is the right thing for him, we made those decisions. So we basically put it out to him that without the piano, you are not doing drums. And that's pretty much final. So we actually paid one of our teachers who has a PhD in piano to take on the task and teach Christian. And I'll tell you, it was an uphill battle.
Hmm.
But without that, Christian was not going to be taking drums in any way, shape, or form. We made that clear. Now, once he graduated from Metalworks Institute, I'll never forget the day he came to us and he said, "You know, Mom, Dad, I want to apologize for giving you such a hard time about taking piano lessons. I see it now. I understand the value of it because had I not taken all those piano lessons and mastered it, I wouldn't be able to do what I do today. The first thing I do when I want to write, produce music in any way, shape, or form, or put any kind of a demo together, the first thing I do is go to my piano." So there you have it. That's kind of the story behind, yeah, piano doesn't do it for everyone, but boy, it's like, without ballet, you really don't have the other dance genres as well. It's finding the foundation of that discipline and starting them at the right point. So this is what Tisha and I did. I'm glad that Christian ended up, thanking us for it later.
Yes, so my son he did take piano lessons also, but he dreaded it. But he's loving taking drums with your son. That's for sure.
Yes.
He's your son has a passion for teaching him, and he's a great teacher. And I've attended some of the lessons, and I enjoy seeing them working together. How did music actually affect your son in any way at school or with focus or any of that?
Yes. And this is a known fact that many, many parents are not aware of. And that is the benefits that music can give their child in their academic subjects at school. It was very disheartening, Josie, when a lot of the students would actually be pulled from their lessons, not because it was never a financial issue, which I was more than happy to discuss something about that and take care of that with the parents. It was just the fact that if a child was struggling in school, the first thing the parents did was take away things that they felt distracted them from school. So one of the first things they would drop was music. And yet that is the one thing that really enhances academic studies. Math and science in particular, huge connection there. So Christian's love of music, he was a little disappointed going through school and seeing what is taught at the school level. He found himself correcting some of the teachers that were teaching music. But in all fairness, not very many teachers in our schools are actually qualified teachers. That's a very tough area to get into, to find a teacher that's highly qualified in that field. But yes, we found that Christian was more focused and he was more spontaneous. It really worked on his confidence and his self esteem. And I believe that shows in what he does today. And even by your observation, Josie, you notice just how passionate he is about teaching. He wants to pass that on. He wants to share that with everyone. I mean, he does classes at daycare centers, for heaven's sakes. He does infants and toddlers and 3 and 4 year olds, and they just jump all over him. He plays guitar for them, he plays piano for them, he engages them and gets them singing and dancing. So he just kind of took what Tisho and I provided for him and he ran with it. He's doing what he loves to do and he's adding more programs to the studio now. So both he and Diana have taken it to the next level. Let's just say it's now come into the 21st century where they're introducing different programs that were not available 26 years ago when Tisho and I started this. And they're really out there promoting there's the studio. They're actually keeping the name because they feel that's our legacy. They don't want to change the name, although we ask them to so they could make it their own. But that's their commitment to us. That's them showing respect for their parents that you started this, we are keeping the name. So yeah, lots of exciting things going on this year at the studio with Christian and Diana taking over. So yeah, we're glad that your son is part of it, and I really appreciate you bringing me on to this podcast to speak to parents.
Well, music is I found out years ago how important music is. Um, I read a book, and there's controversies on the effect of music, if it can help brain power and this and that, but it definitely is powerful. All the details of it, there might be somebody thinks this, somebody thinks that, but I've been reading many articles on it, and to the point that when one of my sons, actually Christian, he was very sick at birth, and I said, and I just finished reading a book about the power of music on the brain and how it creates more synapses and so forth. And I thought, okay, I'm at sick kids in critical care, and I asked my sister to go get me some classical music, and I would play it by his side as he was in an induced coma. So that's when I had started to learn the power of music. But even as a teacher in my own class, I put relaxing music to calm the children down, calms the teachers down too.
Yes.
But but it really does change the mood. It's amazing how it can change your feeling. And when you're anxious, music can actually change your feeling. If you're listening to something that is pleasing, is relaxing, and you know that it just changes the way you feel. Everyone has different types of music that does that for them. It I understand that it improves focus and performance. So there's a lot of information on how the auditory skills will increase, but then the auditory skills are connected to the motor skills, reading, social, emotional. So it's affecting us in so many ways. All our sensories are affecting by music, and when you're playing it, there's an added advantage to that. So for parents out there, if your kids have an instrument that they'd like to play, I would encourage or put out a few instrument, some suggestions of what they might want to play. Do you want to try this? Do you want to try that? And see what they think on that, and to try it. Go out and try it.
Definitely. Wow, what a story, Josie. I can certainly relate to the effect it had on your son when he was ill. One of the things that we have found over the years is when a handful of parents have reached out to us and say, "Look, my son or my daughter has autism, or they have a brain injury, they're nonverbal, or they have a hearing problem." Which is never an issue because, as you know, all you got to do is just listen to, you feel the vibration. And that's just something that unless you're living it, it's hard to explain. I'm very familiar with Cody Lee's story. In fact, I latched on to that when he won America's Got Talent, and it's been in all my presentations to organizations to raise money for individuals with special needs that we do help and support through our charity.
Yes,
Um,
a little bit about the charity.
okay, so that was inspired by the number of students that we took over the years, and one in particular, Megan, which is what the charity was named after, Megan's Music Room. So, what inspired us is that some of these parents have gone to many other places and institutions, and they have asked if would it be possible for their son or their daughter to sign up for music lessons, just a variety of instruments that can be played for them to entice them, to engage them. Piano, vocal, anything at all. They found that a lot of it was simply just a waste of time. There was a lot of babysitting involved. I think teachers just really wouldn't know how to perhaps approach a child like that. Our approach was really very simple. First, I discussed it with Tisho, and he said to me, "I don't understand why there would be an issue. Anyone that wants to learn music can be taught." So his approach was, "I'm going to teach these individuals exactly the way I teach my other students. Because the minute that I assume that they are capable of just minimum, then that's as far as they're going to go, and they're not going to go any further. You need to challenge these people so that they can give you their best. And the more Tisho challenged them, the more they were able to produce." So we went from taking a girl with a brain injury um, since the age of 5, and she was 16 when she came to us. She had endured 16 brain surgeries. She was suffering from massive seizures. She had tremors in her hands, and she spent 20 years with us. So 20 years later, she was playing the piano. She was reading music because she took theory classes, so she learned how to read. She was able to take on the guitar, the saxophone, um, and she performed at every recital to a standing ovation for 20 years. And this is someone that the doctor said she would never walk or talk again. So music completely changed her life. So then we thought, well, maybe there's more Megans out there. This is like living proof that music is has healing power that has not yet been tapped into by many people. And we were determined to do that. This is actually something that both our children, both Christian and Diana, grew up with this, watching Megan at every recital from the time when they were children. In fact, Christian became Megan's teacher down the road. So he ended up taking over her studies. So today, our organization, Megan's Music Room, we assist individuals with special needs that come to us from several organizations, like Brampton Caledon Community Living, Goals, which is also in Bolton, White Birch, which is in Palgrave, and Cassie's Place. So they come to us for weekly classes, which Christian and Diana put out in the form of a music and dance program. Some do music, some do dance. Some the organizations come to us if they're not able to because they don't have transportation due to funding. We go to them. We go to their premises. So that's another aspect of the studio that has taken off because Tisha and I refuse to say, no, I'm sorry, we can't cater to that. And we most certainly can, and we did. And this has now become a big thing. So I have to ask the parents out there that if music can help someone with a brain injury or someone who is nonverbal, but we put music on and give them a microphone, and all of a sudden they're singing like Cody Lee.
Hmm.
Or you're in a wheelchair and we put music on and you're standing up trying to dance. Imagine what music can do for your child. So yeah, there's a lot there left on the table, Josie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And uh, the day my husband had said to me, "Okay, Josie, we're going to a fundraiser. We're going to a charity," and I'm thinking, "Oh, okay. What's it about? Oh, I'm not sure." So he takes me, and then I see you guys, and we just started being part of the program, and I was just at awe seeing the faces of these children who have, special needs, and they were so proud to be up there, and I had tears in my eyes,
Yes.
see them performing, and the confidence, and they had purpose, and they were doing something that was, exciting for them. It seemed exciting. um, just beautiful, truly, truly
Yeah.
beautiful.
That was an amazing night, Josie. There wasn't a dry eye in the place when the group from Cassie's Place got up and did that dance performance.
Mm.
I think until that moment, very few people in the room really realized just what it's all about. Like you said, even you didn't know, I don't know, it's a fundraiser, let's go. And yeah, and then after that, we got a lot of support, including from your husband, who generously said, uh, "You do this next year, you come to me."
Yes.
So, and a lot of people stepped up and offered to be a part of the next fundraiser.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's amazing how you don't know where resources might be. You're thinking maybe at the beginning you might think, uh, how are we going to make this happen? How are we going to raise funds? Is
Yeah.
anybody going to contribute? But we all have the resources around us. And
Yes.
I encourage parents out there, if you have an idea on how to help your kids, let this be an example. This is someone who came from another country, didn't know what they were going to do, and decided to, start a music academy, right? I remember hearing the story that you found his degree and you said, you didn't even
Oh,
tell me about this.
that was, I mean, it was embarrassing to actually pass this on or even discuss it with anyone. We were married and had a son, and I had no idea that my husband had a master's degree in music education at the highest teaching level.
Oh, we're always learning about each other. Don't worry.
And I found it just kind of laying there, uh, and it was translated and sealed, and there it was. And I checked with our with certain education sources, and they said that uh, apparently people that come from other countries with a music degree, they do not have to reapply and meet Canadian standards
Oh, that's great.
because the Canadian standards are lower than those countries. But if you're a doctor or a lawyer or a nurse, or you have to meet Canadian standards. So Tisho came and he had that degree, and I don't think he realized he had gold in his hands. So he didn't think it was a big deal. I asked him why he never mentioned it. He said, "You never asked me." Uh, So that's when I went ahead and started promoting the idea of opening a school using his credentials, which were very impressive.
So,
Um,
parents out there, if you, whether you're a husband, a wife, a partner, a friend, did you see? You can be the one who's inspiring at the beginning of a business, the beginning of an idea, and we all have more resources around us than we think. That's what I got from your story. We all have resources around us that we don't even realize. And to start your business, plus to start this charity, you've got people coming on board now and doing more and helping more and bringing in more money to help you help more children that have special needs. And you know, that's what I love about your story. It reminds me that we all have more around us, more resources than we know, and that I love that you are out there and giving back, that you are paying it forward in a sense, right? Paying it
yes,
forward.
absolutely. And Josie, it's not about what we get out of life, it's what we put into it. And I think leaving behind a legacy that's meaningful and worthwhile um, far exceeds any material things that we leave behind. We come into this world empty, and we leave exactly the same way. What we leave behind that would touch or change a life of an individual or many individuals, I think that's the most important thing we can teach our children. So this is what we left behind. We left something for them to pick up and carry forward. We passed the torch, as you mentioned, and I cannot tell you how happy Tisho and I were when both our children indicated to us that they would like to continue at the studio. So, yeah, great community out there in Caledon, Bolton. We've had so many wonderful years. We bowed out at year number 26. And starting in 2 weeks' time, they will be opening um, the studio on their own for the very first time. And the charity has a chance to survive another year through our fundraiser on September 15th. So, a shout out to the community. Please come out and support us. It's actually a great, great family event. The $25 entry fee goes directly to the charity. And with that, there is a pizza slice and a pop included. There is a free music lesson that Tisho has put in that's included as well. And all the raffle prizes are included. So your one entry fee of $25 is supported by all of that. So please come out and share in the excitement of all the classic cars that will be there that day.
I'll definitely be there. And if people are watching this after it's already passed, just know that you can still um, make a difference with music in the lives of your children. If your child has a special need, this probably can be a very critical thing to help them. Um, and just how powerful music is, to listen to it, to learn how to play and play instruments. Myself, when I am doing report cards, I listen to music just to calm my
Oh,
body and to help me focus
yeah.
more, because I'm at that computer for hours and hours and hours. And so music is powerful. And I am so blessed that my son is taking music lessons at Tisho's Music Academy. I thank you so much for being here on Parents Make a Difference. And I want parents out there to know that that music can be very powerful in your child's life. And to get information, don't just take our word for it. Actually, um, do some research on your own on the power of music in your child's life. Mary, thank you so much for joining us on Parents Make a Difference.
Thank you, Josie, for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. It was wonderful to see you again. And many thanks for the opportunity that you gave me to speak so passionately about music. Take care.
Parents, remember, you make a difference.